one, it's Gladius, and this is it. We got our Hunter runes for phase 2, all of them that we can see. Now, this is data mined information, so two things about that. First of all, spoilers. Obviously, we're going to be finding out things we aren't supposed to necessarily find out because it wasn't an official post by Blizzard, but it is on a data mined website, Wowhead. So if you want to keep the secrets and you want to wait until the game comes out to be able to see all this stuff, go right ahead. Absolutely, go right ahead. Just click off the video. Agron did come out and talk about the data mine stuff. He said that some of this stuff is not going to make it all the way into the game. We're not going to have access to absolutely everything when phase 2 drops. Across the board, we all feel pretty confident that we're going to be doing a belt and a boot rune. All right, let's jump to the top with Aspect of the Viper. So Aspect of the Viper, the Hunter takes on the Aspect of the Viper, causing your ranged melee attacks to regenerate mana, but reducing your total damage by 10%. In addition, you gain 10% maximum mana every 3 seconds. Mana gained is based on the speed of your weapon. Only one aspect can be active at a time. So of course, this is going to make our autos actually regenerate mana for us. We're going to be doing less damage in here, but it's more of a mana regeneration technique. This is going to help us so scenarios where we're running short on mana, this gives us an option to be able to get mana back. Also, this reminds me of what's going to be dropping in Nomer as well. Our male set in Nomer is going to have a 5% chance for us to restore mana on attack. So it seems like they're really solving a lot of the problems with going Remember in phase 1 as Marksman, we would run out of mana within like a minute or so of a fight on a boss. And this is going to help fight against that, going to give us more options where we can actually keep up with long boss fights with our melee spec and also with our range spec as well, or with our marksman spec, I should say. So we don't get necessarily pigeonholed into Beast Mastery. Beast Mastery still looks ridiculously strong in the next phase, but let's take a look. We might have more options because this solves some of the mana issues. This is really interesting here. Exposed Weakness is going to proc, and then it's going to give us 40% of our current agility for 7 seconds. So on crit. And we don't know what the internal cooldown is, but this is going to be for your melee and ranged attacks. It seems like all around just a really nice one to pick up. 40% extra agility for 7 seconds. We could easily maintain this with how much crit we usually get anyway. So I'm really curious. I feel like this is going to be leaning towards, if we are doing melee specs next in phase 2, we're probably going to be wanting to equip 2 one-handers to try to fish for crits more often instead of equipping a 2H. We'll have to see how it works out, but this looks really interesting. This is just a nice just damage buff, no matter if we're playing melee or ranged. Now, the next one here might be the reason why we might not take that other belt option for if we are doing melee. This one here, Melee Specialist, is going to be just pivotal when it comes to melee builds because it's going to make our Raptor Strike become instant. What that means is no longer going to go on our next melee attack. This is going to give us more chances to fish for Wild Strikes or for Wind Fury. Cooldown removed on Mongoose is also pretty nice as well. And then also, of course, having a 30% chance to not trigger its cooldown is fantastic for Raptor Strike as well. So I think no matter what, if we are going melee, we're going to be taking the Melee Specialist. We're not going to be worrying about anything else. So, and wait until we get to boots because there's something else special for melee. Steady Shot's making a return. This is going to be a steady shot that does 60% range damage. So self-explanatory there. We can weave these in. It's not going to be a high cost for this one. It's just going to be something that's a little bit more spammable. We'll have to see how this translates and how good this is. All right, now we get to the boots with the dual wield specialization. It does seem that their idea of melee hunter seems to be 2 weapons instead of just 1. But increasing our damage by the offhand by 50%, and then Raptor Strike to attack with both weapons is going to be a really strong addition for our Raptor Strike. And then they mentioned here, when we're wielding 2 weapons of the same type, we get 30% increased damage. Now, are they talking about versus swords versus daggers? I'm curious about what this means, and but 30% increased damage sounds like we definitely want to be reaching for that in particular. Really curious about this one. We'll have to see more about this, but obviously we're going to want this, and we're going to want to satisfy the requirement on that if we're going to be doing a melee build. This is incredible. Like I mentioned before, Invigoration is going to help us more with our mana problems. So this is going to be another way where we can regenerate some mana, and it stacks really nicely with our 3-piece that's going to be happening in Nomer, and then also we get Viper as another way of solving our mana issues. So a lot of things are going to be solving our mana issues for phase 2, giving us a lot of options for build diversity, and also makes it so Marksman works without having to have like a speed running raid team. Here's one for PvP. The trap launcher looks so cool. So we're gonna be able to shoot our traps in combat at others to be able to CC or damage while we're in combat, and to do it at a range. Also, it's gonna decouple the cooldown for our frost and fire traps. So we'll be able to launch a damaging one and not worry about putting our frost one or putting our CC one on cooldown. This is gonna be awesome. I'm super excited to get my hands on this for the Stranglethorn Veil in particular. This will be fun. All right, so here on the engraved bracers focus fire, I'm a little bit confused, right? Because we have a talent point that is a talent effect that goes on our pets called Frenzy already. We're going to be picking it up in the Beast Mastery tree on our way to 40. And this has a buff that's named the exact same thing. So I'm a little bit curious about if they're talking about an interaction of changing how Frenzy works, or if this is just a brand new Frenzy. But anyway, what this says is that as our pet is attacking, it's going to gain a stacking Frenzy buff, that each of those is going to increase its melee attack speed by 6%, and it stacks up to 5 times, and each stack lasts about 10 seconds. So it can keep refreshing, especially with our fast attack speed cats. We'll be able to stack this super fast, insanely fast. But the added thing we're able to do with this is we're able to consume those stacks, and then we get 3% attack speed, and we're feeding focus to our pet. So basically we can stack this all up, consume it, and then the pet can stack it up again. This is going to make our really fast attack speed cats look like the way to go if we get access to focus fire. We don't know for sure if we're going to get bracers. Everybody's been talking about belts and boots. This data mined information is brand new, and like Agron said, we might not see all of this. And I feel like if we're not going to see something, it's probably going to be the bracers at the very bottom here. TNT sounds super fun. Just a 10% buff though to explosive shot and damage by traps by 10%. I mean, for PvP it might be fun, but I just see a bunch of other options that aren't leading me towards wanting to take explosive shot. So unless explosive shot's going to see some kind of increase in damage, this sounds cool. It sounds fun. I like the idea of just big explosions and like launching traps for damage. But no, I don't see this as being as good as the other bracer, like even like by a mile. It looks so much better than this. Just my 2 cents though. All right, everyone, that is everything. That is all the runes that we know so far in Season Discovery Phase 2. Let me know in the comment section below, did they miss a rune that you were wanting? Is there something else you would have wanted to see in Phase 2 for Hunter? With this new information, I'm going to be visiting a leveling guide for hunters in Phase 2. Look in the description for that. I'll get it out as soon as I can. And everyone, if the video did help you out today, please heroic strike that like button. If you want to stay tuned for more WoW content in the future, please bash the subscribe. I appreciate your time, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, everyone.